So this is a video on how to magnetize a Deredeo. So we have a new Deredeo, and what we're going to do is magnetize them up so we can swap some options. We've got the auto cannons or butcher cannons, and then we have the plasma cannonade. So we want to be able to switch between the two. As well, we want to be able to throw the rocket launcher on board or not. And by adding a magnet at the torso, we can actually allow them to swivel. So we have a magnetized one here, and as you can see, there's a magnet at the bottom, which allows them to pop on. The small pin-dowel weapons here are also magnetized, so that lets us switch between the flamers and the heavy bolters. So we have a lot of options for what we're going to do with this guy. We want to bring this guy over to match. So the first thing we're going to do is assess our magnets and try to decide what we need. So we have a few of these guys. We have a few of these bigger ones, but we're not going to need those because that's far too big for anything we want to do. That's more, you're talking night size. So mostly we're going to deal with these guys here. And then a few of these really little magnets, which we're going to use on the weapons on the undercarriage. So that's sort of our plan. So the first thing we're going to do is take a couple of these magnets, and we're going to inset one into this space, as well as one into that space there. So the first thing we're going to do, or the first thing we did, is that we took a couple of drill bits by hand, and we just inserted them and kept spinning them because the resin is very soft to drill into. So finding the drill bits that match the size of the magnets is step one. And then in fact what we ended up doing is use the smaller one and then escalate it up into the larger one. But that's kind of what we got there. With our holes drilled, we can now comfortably sit a magnet in the bottom of each piece. And then for the lump here, I've actually flattened it and then inset so we can glue one right onto that space there. And that is very similar to what we've done here with one inset there and one on top. And as long as the two sides match, we have a swivel torso. So we'll glue all that together and we'll meet back here in a few minutes and we'll move on to the next part. So now we've got our magnets added, and as you can see they look very similar. We're going to cover this with a little bit of green stuff and it'll look very similar to what we've got here, but the double magnets make it nice and strong. The other one's inset here and they snap on, and we've got our swivel. I also took the time to put this magnet in the side here, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side, which is over here. So all we're going to do is start with just a handheld drill bit, and making sure we're centered, we're just going to hand drill right into the resin. And as you can see, a little hole is forming, and we're just going to keep doing that until we have it deep enough to inset the magnet. Then we'll meet back here again. So now we have our groove set in here, and all we have to do is add the magnet. We want the polarity to be the same as the other one, so all we're going to do is drop the magnet into that spot. Take our Sharpie and leave a mark, like so. And then in our new machine, all we want is that side facing up as well, so that way they're symmetrical. A little bit of crazy glue. And insert the magnet, and because it's a magnet we can't use metal, but a toothpick works really well for just sliding that in the spot where it goes. There's several magnets in this machine already, so the polarity is hard to get where we want it to be because it's being repelled by the other ones. Keeping our ink side up and leaving it sit till it's set. The other one is now in, it's dry. So our other weapon should snap right in place there, which it does. For the other end of the piece, we just took the same shoulder joint that goes here, and we've just done the same exact inset circle. So all we need to do now is make sure that the polarity is the same. So we grab the same weapon, slap it in place. Sharpie out the side that we want outwards. Add our glue. And insert our magnet and let that set. So now we have our magnet. We have our inset piece. We won't touch them because the magnet will just pop out. But once that's in place, then we'll do the last glue section so that everything be in the right position. We're just doing the other side. Mark the piece we want out. Add a little bit of glue. Transfer the magnet over. Finally, what we're going to do is glue the shoulder joint onto the weapon itself, like so. Now it's designed to sit like that, but that kind of leaves the two weapons flaring outwards, which we don't really, I don't personally like the aesthetic. I like to be pointing more forwards. So we're going to put the glue in the center part here and catch it more on the hinge joint there instead. So we'll just leave that there to set. And then we'll come back when that's done. So now with our under the chassis weapons here, as you can see, there are two small inset magnets and two magnets located dead center of the mounts. So what we're going to do is duplicate this exact process here with our new chassis. Being careful to catch the center of the space, whereas this one, we were a little off center with that one and it made us some problems. We'll do better with this new one. So with a drill bit that matches the smaller magnets we're using, we'll start drilling our holes and mounting our magnets to match. So at this point now, we've drilled our holes and we've mounted them. We were a little bit uneven, but definitely better than the other version that we had from before. We've also set our magnets in the heavy bolters. And as you can see, they're pretty close to set well. More importantly, they do snap into place and the magnet holds them quite nicely. They don't fall. And then we have our flamers that are also magnetized. Same idea. We can drop them right in the bottom here. And that one, like so. And if you're playing WYSIWYG, you can swap weapons on the fly, and everything is magnetized the exact same as this one, so we can swap parts back and forth depending on what we like to do. So with those magnetized, as well as the sides magnetized, we can drop the autocannons on, and they snap in place as well. Now these don't perfectly line up here, and you could leave them like that if you liked, but I'm going to heat them in hot water and then put them on, and then they'll mold to the shape that'll let them sit like this. Whereas right now they kind of sit that way because these pieces here don't quite line up because this curve is a little bit too flexed. But if that was a little tiny bit narrower, those would sit nice. So we'll just heat those up, leave those sit. Finally, we've taken the time to magnetize the Plasmafire, the Hellfire plasma cannons or plasma cannonades. And they snap into place like so. And once again, I think we're going to heat these two up just so that they sit comfortably where I would like them to be. But that gives us our plasma weapons as well. With our rocket launcher over the top here. Like so. Now the last option is to magnetize the missile launcher, and we can, but I tend not to because it does fit nicely in there and it spins just because of the design. So I'll probably leave that the way it is. So there's our final product, and as you can see, it lines up quite nicely. It swivels the way we like. We can turn the guns up and down if we need to. Missile launcher turns, and because of the design, it also rotates up and down. And we can swap out the undercarriage weapons as well. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you learned a few things about the fact that you can use just straight up drill bits to mount your magnets. This will drill directly into plastic just as well as it will into resin, so it's good to have a little set that I keep by our table to magnetize lots of things to give us many more options. If you found this video was helpful, then feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. We're always looking for interaction, and we'll see you back here on the next video we tend to do.